Hello and welcome to another standard video. Today we're checking out this blue-red Vivi Cauldron combo deck, which a few people were trying out in the preview event. Now we'll find out if it can also hold up on the best of one ranked ladder. So the core combo revolves around Vivi, exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, so we can grant its mana ability to all creatures we control that have counters on them. And then the final piece of the puzzle, which I believe fellow YouTube creator Jim Davis came up with, is Geralf the Fleshwright, making an army of zombie tokens whenever we cast additional spells, eventually giving those additional +1/+1 counters, which will then also enable the Cauldron to make mana with Vivi's ability. So it's pretty convoluted, so let me slowly walk you through it. Vivi, a 3-mana 0/3 from Final Fantasy, says whenever we cast a non-creature spell we can put a +1 counter on it and it deals 1 damage to each opponent, which is normally how you would increase its power to then once each turn activate its free ability, adding an amount of blue and red mana, where X is Vivi's power. So we're not going to actually need Vivi to be on the battlefield in this deck. Instead, we want it in the graveyard, where we can now exile it with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, which will give one of our creatures a +1/+1 counter since we've exiled a creature. And now every creature we control that has a +1 counter on it will have all activated abilities of creatures that we've exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, including Vivi's 0-mana activated ability, adding an amount of blue and red mana equal to that creature's power. And then the final piece of the puzzle is Geralf the Fleshwright, which makes a 2/2 zombie token whenever we cast a spell outside of the first spell each turn, and that zombie will enter with a number of +1/+1 counters for each other zombie that entered the battlefield under our control this turn. So let's say we have Vivi in the graveyard. I've got a few discard outlets to set that up, with either Bitter Union discarding to draw 2, or Glacial Dragon Hunt can draw and discard, dealing 3 to an opposing creature in the process. And then we need our Cauldron to be able to exile Vivi from our graveyard. And then finally we need Geralf, ideally with another cheap spell to cast alongside it, have a lot of 1-mana cantrips, so we can immediately make a zombie token, then activate Cauldron, exiling Vivi, putting a +1 counter on Geralf. Now Geralf also has Vivi's mana ability, so it can immediately make 3 mana since it has 3 power, can cast another card draw effect, now making a zombie token that enters with a +1/+1 counter since we already made a zombie token prior. So now that zombie token that has a counter on it also inherits Vivi's ability thanks to the Soul Cauldron, so that can now also make 3 mana, cast another cantrip, make another zombie, which is now a 4/4, rinse and repeat, and then at some point we can give the team haste with Bitter Union to attack for the win. So that's our game plan in a nutshell, and because we have so many card draw effects to eventually keep going once we have the combo assembled, we can also pretty easily find all 3 combo pieces to begin with, since we've got a full set of Opt to scry 1 and draw, Sleight of Hand looking at the top 2, putting 1 in hand. Then Ephara's Dispersal gives us some more interaction, bouncing opposing attacking creatures back for just 1 mana, letting us surveil 2 in the process, so that can also help smooth out our draws, maybe even put Vivi in the graveyard if we're lucky. And then at 2 mana we mentioned Bitter Union, an ideal setup card as it can discard Vivi, draw 2, so it's also a fine cantrip once we're going off, and then it can also eventually give the team haste, so it also doubles up as our eventual win condition. Then the Dragon Hunt gives us some more creature interaction, dealing 3 if we can discard a non-land card, and the Harmonize ability also cannot be underestimated, since that gives us another way to trigger Geralf, make another zombie token, and we can easily tap a zombie in addition to making mana with Vivi's ability to help harmonize. And then another reason I like this deck is that we get to run main deck Graveyard Hate to slow down opposing graveyard combo decks like Omniscience combo for instance, so having that main deck Graveyard Hate is also key. And then of course we've got Geralf and Vivi. Vivi also fine to cast sometimes, and the opponent is likely to remove it, hopefully not exiling it in the process. And then we've got Stock Up as one of the better ways to cheaply find more spells to keep the combo going. And then I also like 2 copies of Memories Returning, which is kind of like a Stock Up, also looks at the top 5, will end up with 3 cards in hand as opposed to 2, even though the opponent has some control over which ones, but it also has flashback, so makes it even less likely that we fizzle out once we start making a few zombie tokens. And then the mana base mostly focusing on basic islands since we've got a lot of blue cantrips. If you maybe include some red burn spells as additional interaction, you might want to shift the balance a little bit, but we still have plenty of blue-red dual lands, including Thundering Falls to surveil, which can also maybe help set up the combo initially. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play with a reasonable hand. For now, Surveil. Still needs Jarlf and Vivi. Vivi can go to the graveyard. So now we're just missing Jarlf. Up against the red-green. Cauldron's aplenty. Yeah, it's still the more mana-efficient play for now. Opponent Naya colors. Alright, so let's maybe sleight of hand. Find Opt. Surveil, find Jarlf. Alright, so could maybe combo turn 4. So if I play Jarlf, might want to keep Opt to play afterwards to make a zombie. Then we can activate Agatha. And then we need to string together more card draw. Opponent with Terra in the meantime. So they are some sort of reanimator deck, so Cauldron's actually relevant. And yeah, we can exile, summon Bahamut. Take my turn. Play Jarlf. Exile Vivi. Counter on Jarlf. Cast Opt, make a zombie. Don't need another Jarlf. And then can activate Vivi's ability to Dragon Hunt. And leaving blue for a cantrip. And yeah, we're off. Take out Terra while we're at it. Sleight of hand, make more zombies. And then make more mana. And Dragon Hunt just to draw. Flooding out a little bit. Harmonize, tapping a creature down. Can Dragon Hunt again. Alright, so a bit of a swing and a miss here. But we still have a nice board, so we can potentially still attack for lethal next turn. Nothing too scary for them to reanimate. Fear is next. And we should have lethal if we attack all out, but let me make sure and just Dragon Hunt the Fear. Alright, sweet. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw. Missing a few combo pieces, but at least we've got good mana, some interaction. Turn 1 Mountain, not exactly what we were hoping to see. Find Vivi over Dispersal. Eventually I'll want Vivi. Dispersal gives us more interaction, but I have the Dragon Hunt. So maybe we focus on the combo. Turn 2 Challenger, good target for Dragon Hunt, can discard Vivi. Or we can keep Vivi in hand in the hopes of maybe making some mana with it. But if it's in the graveyard, all I need is Cauldron to combo. Probably won't have time to Memories returning twice. So maybe I do play Vivi, it's likely gonna eat a burn spell. And take it from there. Steel Cutter is next. No way to enable it. Alright, I'll try Vivi. End of turn, they can deal 3 to it. But they might be able to lightning strike it now. Alright, it's gonna be manifold with offspring, so still not triggering the cutter. It's a little harder in mono-red compared to blue-red prowess, admittedly. Alright, so let's make the most out of it. I could Geralf into Opt, trigger Vivi, get a counter, and then maybe cast another 1-mana spell if we find it off Opt. Could also just Memories Returning, and then still Opt, and look for Cauldron. Yeah, let's try that. Digs the deepest. Find a Dispersal. And then we'll still get a cantrip here. Now I cannot use Vivi's ability in the opponent's turn. So we'll just Opt now. And I'll grab the Opt. And we still get a land. So yeah, slightly bigger version of Stock Up. Now a 2/5 blocks pretty well. And there's Cauldron, so we actively want Vivi to die. Opponent doesn't necessarily know that. So bring on the Monstrous Rage. And I think I blocked the smaller token. So if they Monstrous Rage here, we still get to lose Vivi. Yep. Now I gotta hope they don't have Lightning Strike left, otherwise they could remove Geralf in response to me putting a counter on there. So maybe I keep up Dispersal, although they do know about it. But maybe that's alright. Just play Cauldron, pass with a 3-mana Dispersal, so I can also use it if they don't attack. Close call. Maybe I do just Surveil after all. Okay, maybe find a backup Geralf. Just making sure I play around a Lightning Strike if possible. And then with more mana, it's less likely that we fizzle next turn. So our opponent's gonna force the issue. And then another Vivi I could keep. Dragon Hunt's fine too. So hope they just recast it with Offspring. And then now they're tapped out, so they should be dead. As long as I don't mess up. Again, Cauldron, the challenger. But we mostly care about exiling Vivi. So Geralf. Can Dragon Hunt take care of the mouse. Discarding Vivi, perhaps. Activate Cauldron. Can target Geralf. That makes a bunch of mana. Bitter Union will give the team haste. And yeah, we can easily keep going from here, flashing back Memories Returning until we build up enough zombies to attack with haste, thanks to Bitter Union. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. Hand seems fine. Facing black-white. And looks like control, Day of Judgment. So, I guess control. It's mostly instant speed removal that we're worried about. Sorcery speed, we don't really care. Can cycle a Dragon Hunt just to draw. I'll be patient. Now if I cast Vivi, it's also possible they can exile it, so then Cauldron doesn't get a chance to exile it instead. So maybe it's still more of a stock-up turn, a way to play Vivi until we can cast a 1-mana spell, giving it a counter so we can cast another 1-mana spell. Could also discard Vivi to hand size to set up Cauldron. So we have options. Let's start by just ditching the Dragon Hunt. Alright, so did not find a cantrip. So maybe it is Cauldron Pass, so they can't exile it with like a Allegiance to Ashes or something along those lines. Alright, Fortress gets in. So I can dispersal it. And then these are both fine to keep. Take my turn. Alright, let's pause. Since we actually have lethal here that I missed during the gameplay, we can simply start out by casting Geralf. Then we cast our Dragon Hunt, triggering Geralf in the process, making a 2/2 zombie token. Now we have a window where we can activate Cauldron after having already discarded Vivi before we are dealt 3 damage by our own Dragon Hunt, which means we can either take out the zombie token, or we can simply put a +1/+1 counter on Geralf, dealing 3 damage to it in the process, which is not optional with a Dragon Hunt. So now we have Vivi exiled with Cauldron, we have Geralf. Geralf makes 3 mana, so we can start casting cantrips like Stock Up, making an additional zombie token, and since we know we have a Memories Returning on top, we're unlikely to fizzle out, since we can make 4 mana with a 4/4 zombie to keep going, and then eventually flashback Dragon Hunt, flashback Memories Returning, and sooner or later we're gonna find our Bitter Union to give the team haste. Or I just stock up here, finding Reunion and Memories, and then Reunion discard Vivi. And then next turn I can maybe go for it. Can try twice, since we have 2 Geralfs. Although maybe this is their chance to deal with Cauldron or maybe mess with our graveyard. Alright, Preacher, that's fine. So at most they can have Cut Down up here. Anything I need to exile with Cauldron, may as well. And Opt should be useful too. Alright, so if I don't mess up, I think we have this. Play Geralf. Cast Opt, triggering Geralf. If they try and cut down, I can Cauldron in response. Sleight of Hand is fine to keep. Can Dragon Hunt just to draw a card. I guess the problem now is if I activate Cauldron first, they could cut down. So I'm kind of the one that needs to make the first move in that regard. But yeah, I think we'll be okay. Because I'll still have the zombie making 3 mana. Do I target Geralf for the zombie token? I guess I don't need to target Geralf. So these can now make mana. Sleight of Hand. A Reunion. Memories Returning. Getting stock up. So we've not used the second zombie token yet. Pick opt. So time to use it. So I imagine if they had a cut down, they would have used it by now. Find Bitter Union and Vivi. Can still activate this guy. A Reunion. Can maybe throw Vivi into the mix as well. Sure. And make more zombies. Three each seems fine. Can still flash back, memories returning. So we're not fizzling out. Dispersal I can just hardcast. And then it's maybe time to give the team haste. Alright, sweet. Anything for 1 mana? Can't think of anything. Alright, sweet. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. Double sleight of hand, double dispersal. Not exciting, but we get to see a lot of cards, so I'll give it a shot. And our mana's decent. Take a stock up. Turn 1 planes I don't mind seeing. So let's sleight of hand first. Maybe we'll find a tap land. Take the Cauldron. So if we're not under pressure, we'll have time to set up. If our opponent's blue-white Omniscience, Cauldron doubles up as a way to stop their combo. Although they can exile it with temporary lockdown. And just discarding a Regent. So I'm not in a hurry to get Cauldron in play. Let's just stock up. Have yet to find a Vivi. So definitely don't need Dispersal in this matchup. Let's just go sleight of hand Reunion. And then I might have to Cauldron next turn, depending on their graveyard. Alright, never mind. Yuna hits the graveyard. I guess Yuna can also get back Omniscience, so it's just maybe splashing for green and then summon Knights of Round, another card that's powerful to reanimate. So I should probably deploy the Cauldron now. A Reunion ditching a Dispersal. And then have Cauldron available. Probably exiling the Knights of Round. Right, lockdown as we suspected. Don't have a way to necessarily get rid of it. Considered including a few copies of Into the Floodmaw for it. But that's alright, we'll find another one. Memories returning, digs the deepest. I guess it digs equally deep, but yeah, we'll take Vivi. And then Bitter Union versus Opt. I'll take the Opt. Right, and they give us the Reunion too. Discard to hand size. I think we consider discarding Vivi here, so that another Cauldron can maybe already set up the combo. Casting it as a threat's also reasonable. So now Dragonstorm can maybe discard another powerful spell to reanimate. So the priority is finding another Cauldron, although surprised they discarded Lockdown. There's a green mana and Jarlf, so all we're missing is Cauldron, and then we're ready to go. So maybe this turn stock up. Since they're not threatening a kill with Omniscience, I'm less terrified of potentially tapping out. Found Cauldron, back up Jarlf. So if I play Cauldron now, it's possible they have another Lockdown. Upside of Cauldron is that we prevent them from maybe comboing off if they end of turn get Omniscience in the graveyard. But let's maybe just play a Jarlf now. And then it's not a disaster if they remove it, since we have a backup. And then if they don't mess with it next turn, it's going to be even easier to combo off. Alright, they had their own dispersal, that's fine. Nothing scary in the graveyard. And then discard my own dispersal, I want to say. So if they have Yuna, I guess they could get back temporary lockdown. Opponent passes. So yeah, I'll keep Cauldron in hand until we're ready to combo. Although I might already be ready to combo, to be honest. Depends what instant speed interaction they have. And Jarlf into Cauldron. Make a zombie. Can maybe start by casting a Sleight of Hand. So I can still opt at instant speed to make another zombie. Find a backup Cauldron. So Cauldron, I could go for Vivi, but I feel like something's up. So let's maybe just go for the lockdown here, so they can bring it back with another Yuna, and then maybe we'll go for it next turn. Aha, scroll shift. So yeah, flickering the lockdown's pretty effective. So yeah, that's eventually going to get rid of the zombie tokens as well, and the Cauldron, of course, even though we briefly get our other Cauldron back. So yeah, glad we didn't exile Vivi, so it's still there for next turn. So now I could still exile Vivi with the temporary lockdown trigger on the stack, although I can only play instants, and then all the zombies will disappear. So I don't think I do anything in particular. Could have maybe exiled an extra Yuna. Do get to re-trigger Bitter Union, although my hand's pretty good, so I don't think I need to get rid of anything. Alright, let's pass. They did discard Summon Bahamut, which they might be able to reanimate. And yeah, there's Yuna. So we'll lose Jarlf. Can I then still combo? I think I'm good. Coast is finally clear. Take my turn. So step 1, Jarlf. Step 2, Cauldron. Exile Vivi. Step 3, Bitter Union. And keep the cards flowing. Cast opts. Dragon Hunt's a redraw. Stock up. Reunion and Geralf. Can cast a pair of Dragon Hunts. And yeah, our opponent sees a writing on the wall, and that'll do it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a very promising hand. We've got all the combo pieces plus a cantrip. Question is, are we gonna live long enough to set it all up? Still need Vivi to hit the graveyard. Although it's often gonna be removed by the opponent, so we don't always need a discard outlet. For now, Surveil. Dispersal helps if we're up against aggro, so I'll keep it. And aggro this, auras. Even though they could have a way to maybe protect the Scavenger. Sleight of hand. I think I'm happy to keep. It's a 1-mana spell I can cast with Vivi. Now I guess the most likely removal out of this deck is going to be a Sheltered by Ghosts, which exiles, so that can also get rid of the Cauldron. Now Skrelv can protect, but we get a chance to bounce the Scavenger if they send it in. Alright, let's Dispersal. Set them back a bit. And then another Dispersal is going to be less effective now with Skrelv. Sleight of hand, still inclined to keep. Yeah, we still do need to get Vivi in the graveyard, since our opponent may not cooperate in that regard. Although if I just cast Vivi next turn, it is kind of a must-answer threat. Yeah, close call. Maybe Sleight of hand's not needed. Still tempted to cast Vivi. Right, Challenger, so kind of hoping we can jump with Vivi now. Scavenger, never mind. Dragon Hunt can deal with Skrelv at least. Would have been a way to discard Vivi. Yeah, I'm scared of Sheltered by Ghosts exiling the Cauldron, so maybe I should hang on to it for as long as possible. Another Dragon Hunt helps. So I can first clear Skrelv, then clear something else. They have to pay 2 life to activate Skrelv, so it's not quite free. But they will protect Scavenger, so wouldn't be able to Dragon Hunt that one. But that's alright. Dragon Hunt again on Challenger. Finding Sleight of Hand. That can maybe go. And then the main concern would be Sheltered exiling Vivi. I'll keep the opts, can trigger Geralf as well. And sure, we'll stay back. Maybe there's still a sequence where I get to chum block with it. Opponent's gonna fly over. Ethereal Armor, so pretty scary clock all of a sudden. So what's my plan? Geralf into opts. Take it from there. Cauldron is not needed. And then a Dragon Hunt I could harmonize. But I'm probably better off just casting the Cauldron. Trigger Geralf. Exile Skrelv. Can grant the ability to our author creatures. And does this matter? Probably just pump Vivi some more. Alright, so if they have the Sheltered, we could be in trouble. Another Feather. Plus 3 power, basically. Could be that to another ethereal armor. Alright, just a challenger, so Scavenger might have to stay back. Find another Cauldron. So Harmonize, tapping a zombie. I guess I can also use Skrelv's ability on Vivi. So I think I Harmonize tapping this zombie, actually. Can use Vivi's ability. And then discard Cauldron, deal with Challenger. And then we can still stock up. Trigger Vivi. And then use the zombie to sneak Vivi past the Scavenger. So we should have it here. Alright, sweet. So a bit of an unconventional game. Could have probably set up the combo had I just discarded Vivi to the Dragon Hunt, had I been more patient. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a promising hand. We've got a way to discard Vivi with a Dragon Hunt, Cauldron, so all we're missing is Geralf. And opponents maybe an Oculus deck. So then Cauldron's also relevant graveyard hate. Although for now we'll still deal with a Mako. Discard Vivi, even though I could cast it. But I'll regret casting it if I never find a way to get it in the graveyard. So it is Jeskai. So sure looks like the Oculus deck. For now, Fear. Discards another Mako. So Cauldron it is. Gonna make sure to shut down Delirium synergies as well. Tersa's next. Wait and see what they discard. A land, a recommission, so yeah, a recommission is not going to be very helpful. Can let them attack since they don't have Delirium. And then Dispersal still tempting here. Bouncing, probably just Tersa, which is the most pricey to redeploy. Even though it's got haste. And that's Geralf, that's what we needed. Can keep a backup copy in case they answer one, although I still need a way to actually cast a second spell. Yeah, we'll figure it out, I'll keep both. For now, Cauldron, the Mako. Play Geralf. Cauldron Vivi. Counter on Geralf, so that can make 3 mana. So I can Harmonize, tapping Geralf. Discard Cauldron. And deal with the Fear. So now we just need some card draw effects to keep the combo going. And if they have an answer to our 4 toughness Geralf, we've got a backup, and yeah, get lost. So glad we kept number 2. Opponent looking at the graveyard. Plays another Mako. Got Cauldrons aplenty. I might want to explore first. Find a land. Find a reunion, that's what we need. So I could wait to play Geralf next turn, so we don't expose it to more removal. And for now, just pass. Tersa's back. With a vengeance. Helping Hand's gone. Eidetic Memory's gone. Tersa is on 7 here. So probably exile Fear of Missing Out before they get to attack. Go to 4/4 on defense. Now Seachrome Coast could still represent a blue bounce spell, but I think we gotta try to go for it. Make sure to leave a red mana available. Thank you very much, Auto Tapper. Let's tap my lands. Alright, Memories returning is perfect. So this can make 4 mana. Fine, stock up. I would prefer Sleight of Hand as the next card, but they might get rid of it. Backup Geralf can't hurt. And yeah, I don't think we're fizzling out anymore. Fine, stock up and Dragon Hunt. Stock up again. Double Dragon Hunt. Still haven't activated Cauldron, so that can also give us a bit of a mana boost. Discard Geralf. And can start doing the math to see if we have lethal. Can deploy another Vivi. Clear Tersa, and that should make it easy. Activate Reunion. And attack. But yeah, could easily flash back the memories and keep going. Awesome. So yeah, that's 6 wins in a row with the blue-red Cauldron combo. Get to rank up. So color me impressed. I was a little bit skeptical since it is a 3-card combo at the end of the day, but the fact that one of the key combo pieces is good to have both in play as well as in the graveyard, the fact that Cauldron is relevant graveyard hate in the current best of 1 meta, and the deck just has a ton of card draw to find all those pieces, it means that this is definitely a recipe for success. And yeah, if you face other graveyard hate, then you can still pretty easily pivot into maybe a Steel Cutter deck after sideboard, since you already have the cantrips to enable it, so we don't have to go all in on the combo in game 2 necessarily, so we have that flexibility. So yeah, this deck might be the real deal, and I'm looking forward to see how the deck keeps developing going forward. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.